Hey, what's up, guys? Myself Karthik. I'm a software developer based in India. I'm currently working as a full stack developer in IT company here in Bangalore. I've started this YouTube channel with the intention to share my knowledge and teach web development as well as self development. I'll try to provide the best content on this channel. I hope you find the resources on this channel to be helpful. That's it, guys, for the intro. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the JavaScript basics. So let me open my Visual Studio Code. You can use any other code editor if you want, but I prefer using Visual Studio Code. So before doing anything, let me start by installing some extensions. If you're interested, you can install this extension. This is something called as bracket pair colorizer and live server. What this does is like it will refresh the server each time when you make the changes to the HTML or the JavaScript files. So let me open my files. Here I have created something called as basics.html, and I have another file open, something called as basics.js. Let me create an HTML boilerplate. Let me put the title as basics, and let me link the JavaScript file to the HTML basics.js. So let me define the objective for this lecture. At the end of this lecture, you should know what are variables, how to declare a variable, and what is let and const. So before doing anything, let me start the server first and open the developer tools so that you can see the changes immediately. So let's see what are variables first. Variables are nothing but a container that is used to store a value. So we can write something as a container used to store values. Okay, so let's see how to declare a variable in JavaScript. Oh, it's very easy to declare a variable in JavaScript. We need to type var and the container name, that is, I'll give first name, and store the value as John. And let me define another variable called last name, called do. So if I want to print this value onto the console, I need to type something called as console.log, console.log first name, and pass in the first name variable, and also something called as console.log last name. Yeah, if I save this, you should see John and Doe. Yeah, you're seeing John and Doe onto the console. This is how you declare a variable. You can reassign the values to the variable if you want. Let me reassign the value of first name to David and last name to Johnson, David Johnson. Yeah, if I save this, you should see David Johnson. Yes, it is logging David and Johnson onto the console. So what is a variable? Variable is nothing but a container used to store values. That's it. Let is similar to var, which is used to store a value, but it behaves differently under different scopes. So under global scope, it behaves exactly same as var. So let's try this out. I'll copy this whole thing and let me comment this out. So let me put let, here also let. It is similar to var, but it behaves differently under different scopes. I'll teach you guys what are the different types of scopes in JavaScript later. So let's go ahead and see what is const. So let's define what is const. Const is nothing but a container that is used to store a value that cannot be changed in the future. Let's define a const So I'll take the same example from the above. I'll define as const first name is equal to John. So let me define another constant last name is equal to Doe, and log this values onto the console.log first name last name. Yeah, you should see John and Doe. Yes, it is printing John and Doe. So according to the definition of constant, if we change the values of first name and last name, it should give an error. So let's try that. So let me change the values of first name to something called as David and last name to Doe. If I try to log it now, console.log first name, console.log last name. Yes, as expected, it is giving me an error. It is saying that you cannot assign a value to the constant variable. So I hope you guys are clear with what are variables. Variables are nothing but a container used to store value, and how to declare variables, and what is let and const. Const is nothing but a container similar to var, which is used to store a value, but it behaves differently under different scopes. Let's define what are scopes in the future lectures. And what is a constant? Constant is nothing but a container used to store a value that cannot be changed in the future. So I hope you found this lecture to be useful. This is the first time I'm trying to record myself and teach, and I had to do this multiple times. If you want me to improve on something, please leave the comment below. I'll work on it. See you guys in the next lecture.